Hi there, I'm Priya Sathy, and I'm a Group Product Manager in Power BI. And I'm super excited to be here at the Virtual Data Platform Summit. While I'm coming to you virtually from my home in Seattle, I hope next year we can do this all in person. This is a pre-recorded session, but I'm super excited that I am going to be there at the session for the Q&A portion live. And I'm really looking forward to your questions and answering them. So let's get right to it. Today, we're going to talk about building systems of insights at enterprise scale with Power BI and Azure. Starting off with the agenda. I'm going to start off with the Power BI vision, and I'm not going to go very deep into this because right before this was Arun Ulag and Amir Netz's Power BI vision and strategy and roadmap session, and they go through in detail about our vision and strategy. What I will be doing, spending my time on, is really talking about those capabilities in Power BI, and some of them are really new today, and these capabilities that help you build those systems of insights at enterprise scale. I'll be wrapping up with some call to action, let you know where to get started, whether you're a veteran user and looking for some information about some of the new capabilities that I'm talking about, or you're new to Power BI. And then we'll get right into that Q&A session that I'm really looking forward to. So let's start off with how do we bridge the gap between data and decisions? Now, this is a question that you're probably asking as well. And what we've learned over the last few years is that only 30% of organizations adopt business intelligence tools. This was done by Gartner in a survey. What we've also learned is that on average there are 3 BI tools per department. And then over 85% of organizations struggle to analyze unstructured data. I'm sure you guys are probably resonating with these challenges and wondering how do you solve these challenges. And what I'm going to talk about is exactly that. How do you use Power BI to solve these challenges and build a systems of insights? We've done exactly that with customers like T-Mobile. Now, T-Mobile was able to eliminate expensive legacy systems and empowering more of their users by standardizing on Power BI. They had been using a legacy system that cost them over $2 million and in their organization of about 6,000 users. They had licensing costs, but they also had pretty slow performance. What they did is they decided to standardize on Power BI, and they're delivering scalable self-service analytics to their users at a much lower total cost of ownership. And what they've been able to do is really give that power back to the hands of their end users and also their engineers. So let's talk about how Power BI will help you do exactly this in your organization. So our vision in Power BI is really all about enabling a data culture, replacing facts, replacing decisions based on facts. And data culture needs to be about everyone. And our job is to empower every single individual with Power BI. So empowering every individual is about making these instantly familiar experiences. And we're building experiences on top of Office-like experiences and deeply infused with AI. The same AI that has been built over the decades at Microsoft in Microsoft Research and Azure AI. So we brought that into Power BI to create these amazing data experiences. Next, data culture is for every single decision. and we want to empower every team. And what we've done is woven Power BI into the fabric of the organization and the fabric of where everybody works. Whether that is to take actions and helping individuals, helping teams collaborate better and infusing Power BI into all of those tools that improve collaboration like Microsoft Teams and all of those tools that improve productivity. So infusing Power BI into the tools like Excel and SharePoint and infusing Power BI into the Power Platform and into services like Power Automate so users can take those insights that they've gotten from the data and make them actionable and take action. Lastly, data culture is for any scale, and our vision is to empower every organization. So it's about scaling not just ones or tens of hundreds of users, but to those hundreds of thousands of users and meeting the most demanding needs of the enterprise, whether that be performance, scaling up to those thousands and hundreds of thousands of users, or being able to administer it at that scale, or meeting governance, security, and other critical requirements that live in an enterprise. So I'm going to talk about the capabilities here, and we're going to talk very specifically about the capabilities where Power BI has leveraged Azure and other Microsoft technologies to deliver exactly this, which is analytics at enterprise scale, meeting those demanding needs of the enterprise. So first, I'm going to talk about trust. Trust is utmost important to every organization, every enterprise. Here at Power BI, we take trust very, very seriously, and we want to enable customers to be able to trust the platform that they bring their data into. Your data is your data, and we give you all of the capabilities to keep that data secure. So we've got various capabilities that we've built in Power BI that meet standards of not just the government or industry, but also all of the other industries like healthcare and financial services that are also highly regulated. And we have capabilities where customers can bring their own encryption key. Bring your own key. You can trust us for double encryption and encryption at rest and transit. We've got compute isolation. We support service tags and private links. We also actually very, very soon are going to be supporting virtual networks within Power BI. So you will get VNet support and can connect securely to those data sources where your data resides. And we've also integrated deeply with Microsoft Cloud App Services and also with Microsoft Information Protection Services to give you protection over sensitive data. Let's talk a little bit about this first. Data leak protection. So we have the capability based on our deep integration with Microsoft Information Protection, MIP. And so if you're familiar with using MIP, we can very easily pull sensitivity labels. You can go associate sensitivity labels into Power BI, and that's what I'm showing you here. Sensitivity labels where you can mark something as confidential or highly confidential. And when users export that data out into maybe Excel, which you know your end users love to do, those same sensitivity labels are carried forward. So we protect you and we protect your data where it's needed the most. Next, let me talk about something really exciting. End-to-end protection is coming really soon. Now, what I mean by that is having the ability to carry those sensitivity labels all the way from the data source down to all the way into the Power BI data sets and reports eventually. So let me walk you through this capability that I'm really excited about that's coming soon. What you see here is a SQL server, and this is actually going to be supported in Azure Synapse Analytics as well, our modern data warehouse. What you see here is in SQL, I've gone ahead and I'm applying my sensitivity labels on all of my columns, marking them as highly confidential. And I go to Power BI, you see my Power BI data set right there, and I'm going to refresh my Power BI data set. When I refresh my data set, those sensitivity labels are going to carry through as well. And not only are they going to carry through to that data set where you see that little lock sign showing me that now there's some sensitivity applied, but it's going to carry forward into those reports, the downstream reports as well. And guess what? It doesn't stop there. It's not just about carrying forward to those downstream reports. It also carries forward into Excel. And if I go into Excel and open a sensitive data set in Power BI, those sensitivity labels that have been applied carry forward here as well. And that's exactly what you're seeing. You see the sensitivity classification, and you can see right up above that it's marked as highly confidential. So you can rest assured that your data is not leaking and it is protected end to end. Next, I'm going to talk about the core of ingesting and prepping data. There are several capabilities here that really help you ingest and prep the data. If you think about the journey of the data, you always start off, in order to build a report or to do any analytics, you're going to ingest some data from a set of sources. You're then going to maybe transform that data, and you're probably going to want to store intermediate steps and apply for the transformation. Then you might want to prep it. You might want to apply machine learning techniques as well, statistical modeling techniques as well on that data. Now, I'm going to walk you through some of the key capabilities here between Power BI and Azure that help you do exactly that. So a report as such that has been built with predictions. So Contoso is an electronics equipment manufacturer. And Contoso has this report where every morning the VP of sales can go look at a sales opportunity, and the risk of winning or losing that opportunity. And picking on an opportunity, she can also look at the top factors that are influencing or driving that opportunity. These could be things like the product manager, could be the factory, could be seasonality related. And I'm going to show you how a report like this with predictions, so it has machine learning in here, can actually be built using Power BI in just a few clicks. The first step is really connecting to data. Now, in Power BI, we have over 150 different connectors, and you can connect to first-party sources, third-party sources, whether that's on-prem or in a different cloud. And what we are doing is that we're constantly adding new connectors, and these could be first-party, or we're working very closely with partners to add connectors as well. And we're also constantly enhancing them. We've recently added a single sign-on support and made various other enhancements to several of these connectors. So we make it very, very easy for you to connect to your data no matter where it is and just get started. Once you've connected to your data, Next, you want to start visual data preparation. And I talk about visual data preparation because we've actually made it really simple for you to prep this data using a visual interface that you're seeing here. And it's just really simple than it ever was before. Now, this is a feature that's actually just landed into public preview. And what you can do is visualize all of your queries, and it can be really complex queries that like the ones that you're seeing here. These queries could have had a whole bunch of filters applied to them, and they could have a lot of subqueries. You could have a lot of dependencies between the tables, a lot of relationships, and all of these at the highest level, the macro level, can be visualized, or you can drill down into the lowest level and look at these dependencies visually, so you can do that very complex data preparation. And what you can do is every step of the way, you can look at the results rendering in the charts at the bottom. This makes it super easy for you to do your visual data preparation, or do your data preparation with this interface. Now, once you've done that, I'm going to talk about how easily you can apply machine learning. And you can build predictive models by just telling Power BI what you want to do. So over here, I'm actually picking that opportunity entities, and I'm saying, hey, I want to predict my status of win or loss. What Power BI does is looking at that entity, Power BI knows automatically what ML model to apply. And in this case, Power BI, I know it's got to be binary prediction. Now, I haven't picked that. Power BI has automatically selected that. And then we also know what are the fields that we need to apply automatically. And that's pretty much it. I can name this model, and I can apply this model. What I can do is I can set it to refresh now, or I can set it to refresh on a schedule. And that's about it. That's how simple it is to add a machine learning model, in this case, a binary classification of predicting the win-loss of that opportunity. Now, we include powerful AI transforms such as automated machine learning and cognitive services. I do want to point out that all of these AI capabilities are not something that we landed net new in Power BI, but we've actually leveraged what's been built in Microsoft over the last couple of decades between Microsoft Research and the Azure AI team, and just brought that technology into Power BI, but made it very easy with a click, drag, drop user interface. So now, once I've applied machine learning, what we also make it easy for you to do is to evaluate those ML models. You can go right into those models and you can assess the model performance. So you can go look at the accuracy of the model. You can go double click and understand, the featureization, the top features that influence this model, and you can actually look at all of the details. Now, you don't really have to do it, but this is an option for those of you who are data scientists and want to look at things like area under the curve. We've got all of that very transparently available right there for you. Now, the other thing you could do is leverage existing machine learning models. We've just made it easy for you to connect to any machine learning models that your data scientist has given you access to. Let's say your data scientist in your organization has built models using Machine Learning Studio. They're going to show up here in Power BI, and if you've been given permissions to them, and you can just very easily leverage those ML models and use them in the reports that you're building. That's how simple it is. So we make it easy for collaboration between a data scientist in the data science org and a business analyst sitting in the business unit. And lastly, when we talk about ETL, we've actually made all of these data prep steps, these ETL steps, you know, compose compostable, and we made them such that you can prep data very quickly using the common data model format. So that's an industry standard format, and we worked on this with several organizations over the last few years. And think of these as just entities that are industry definitions of things like sales or purchase order. So we make it easy for you to just prep data and land it into these CDM formats. And what the CDM form, data in the CDM form, is actually stored in the Azure Data Lake. Why that's interesting is that we make it open for you to share it with any of the other services or any of the other groups in your organization. So it can be very easily leveraged by Dynamics and by Azure, several Azure services. Um, Powered behind all of these ETL steps, we actually have a computation engine that is really powerful and handles all of the orchestration requirements that you have, and landing all of this data in this open and flexible format into the data lake at enterprise scale. Next, let's talk about data stack integration. I'm really excited about what we built over the last year with Azure Synapse Analytics. And that's really what I'm going to talk about here very, very specifically. So we announced our integration, the Power BI's integration with Azure Synapse Analytics, which is our modern data warehouse. And this is, we announced this into public preview last year. And with this, it's very easy for whether you're a data engineer or a developer, it's very easy for you to go right into the Azure Synapse Studio and build Power BI reports based on data that's sitting in the Synapse data warehouse. Now, what you can also do is if you really wanted to build very complex semantic models, very complex reports, you could then open these reports in Power BI Desktop, and you can very easily continue to build and enhance your report using Power BI Desktop. Now, one of the things that I'm going to talk about that I'm super excited about is what we call the Performance Accelerator, and this is coming soon. It's actually in private preview, and what it is if you think about building reports on large data volumes. Now, data volumes sitting in a data warehouse could be in the order of billions of rows of data. And if you're thinking about building these, performance probably is top of mind. And what we are doing in Power BI is actually taking care of that performance for you so you don't have to do anything. And the way we do that is via this new capability called the Performance Accelerator. We know the users that are opening reports in Power BI. We know the query patterns and the usage patterns of these users. So what we do is we determine materialized views to create in the Synapse database to give you optimum performance. We send these over to Synapse, and Synapse actually creates these materialized views. And so the next time there's a query that comes around from Power BI, these queries are just redirected to the materialized view, so the performance is significantly improved. Now, traditionally, if you were to do this kind of performance acceleration or optimization on your own, it would probably take you a lot of time to do it, and it's probably cumbersome because you're going to have to go manually figure out and analyze what are the usage patterns and what are those views, materialized views to create on your own. And we've just made it all automatic, and we've made this a self-learning and self-optimizing system with our algorithm that is powered by machine learning. So I'll show you a quick video of this in action. So here's this report that I have. It's a report that's built on the New York taxi data, and it's actually running on a few billions of rows of data. What I'm going to do is start off and show you what it's like without the performance accelerator. I'm going to open up my performance analyzer, and you're going to see this rendering, and the report is trying to refresh, and you'll see it's taking a few seconds here, and it's still trying to refresh. So yeah, that took about a bit of time there. What I'm going to do is now say, hey, you know what? I'm going to turn on Performance Accelerator. Now, what I'm showing you is an experience in SQL Server Management Studio. In reality, such an experience would probably be available to you right within Synapse. I'm showing you the query plan as well, just so you understand that there's a really complex query plan in the queries that were redirected down to the tables in Synapse. So I'm going to go and turn on my Performance Accelerator. And what you're going to see is that materialized views are getting created, as you can see right here on my screen. And so these are based on those usage patterns that we've started recognizing, and that these are the materialized views. And so what you will see is that if I go back to that exact same report and I refresh it again, and you're seeing the same report refreshing, that just took a matter of seconds. So we went down from what was, about 39 seconds for summary by city to something really, really small. So super excited about this, and you can also see that the query plan, I'm just showing you that the query plan now, it's getting directed to those materialized views. So super excited. It's going to come into public preview soon, and if you're interested, contact us to take part in the private preview. Next, let's talk about something that I'm sure you guys keep awake at night about, like administering and governing this platform. So you've got users who are now creating reports, and it's gone viral in your organization. How can you administer and govern this? Let's talk about that. So we have this capability where we're going to let you take all of the telemetry that's within Power BI and bring it into your own Azure Log Analytics and monitor your reports, your Power BI investments end to end, whether it's usage, whether it's performance, and you're going to be able to get all of that telemetry from within Power BI in your Azure Log Analytics. Now, if you're not familiar with Azure Log Analytics, it's a really great Azure service that gives you the ability to do diagnostics and troubleshooting. So the experience within Power BI is really simple. You just go ahead and connect to go to your workspace, go to your settings, and you'll see something new called Log Analytics. You can connect to your Log Analytics workspace, and you basically pick your Azure subscription and pick the workspace, and that's it. Now this is at the workspace level. This capability will be available at the tenant level as well as the capacity level. Now this capability is also in preview at the moment, and it will be a private preview at the moment, and it'll be coming out to public preview soon as well. what I want to show you is that with the telemetry, the first set of telemetry we're bringing into log analytics is really performance telemetry and performance telemetry from our core analysis services engine. You'll be able to go into log analytics and do exactly what I've done here on my screen, which is write simple log queries that give you the ability to look at the performance of those reports. And I write this query and I can execute this query. And you can see very simply what is the performance over time. And you can start debugging and troubleshooting on your own when there are performance issues. Over time, we will be adding a lot more telemetry into log analytics. Now, what we will extend this out to be is also create correlation, not just between that Power BI telemetry and the Power BI report performance, but we will correlate it all the way down to the Synapse report performance as well. So you will be able to see how a user utilizing a report that translates into a bunch of queries end up in Synapse and where those performance bottlenecks are. And you'll be able to look at those performance times and use this to troubleshoot your reports or your database performance. Now, this end-to-end performance as well is coming soon. Next, we've talked about, performance acceleration. We've talked about ingesting and building these reports with predictions, and we've talked about, performance acceleration. We've talked about, thinking about how do you enhance the report performance. So next thing I'm going to really talk about is enterprise semantic models and all of the capabilities that we have here. So enterprise semantic models are basically Power BI data sets. These are business definitions of data that are open and flexible. And Power BI data sets, for those of you that are new to Power BI, these are the heart of Power BI. These are what stores business logic, stores KPIs, key performance indicators, contains all of the logic around application lifecycle management, security, etc. Got the in-memory caches. Now, this is basically based on our analysis services engine. The exact same analysis services engine that was in SQL Server Analysis Services and is in Azure Analysis Services is also within Power BI. Now, we've made this data set open and available not just to be read by or written to by Power BI or even Excel, but you can also use other third-party tools such as MicroStrategy, Qlik, Tableau to access this Power BI data set. And that is via a protocol that we call XMLA. The XMLA endpoint, I'm super excited, is now generally available. It has been in preview for the last several months, and we are now excited that it is generally available to all of you. The big thing here is that, hey, you're not only going to be able to use Power BI, but use the tools of your choice to access your Power BI data set, but most importantly, keep all of your business logic in one place and as a single source of truth. Next, I'm going to talk about really a problem that you probably think about, which is really all around, having enterprise data sets, which could be data sets that are created by IT, which makes sense in the sales scenario we're talking about. You might have a revenue data set that's created by IT at an enterprise corporate level. But you might also have the need to have local data sets. You might have local data sets, which might be things like store hours, things that are related to local geopolitical data sets. Now, you as a business analyst might have a need to combine these enterprise and local data sets. Now, something like this wasn't possible, and we are actually making it possible for you to combine those enterprise data sets with local data sets. And we are going to bring to you pretty soon a feature called composite models. Here, let me walk you through an example of composite models. So here I have Power BI Desktop. I'm going to go open my sales model. It's pretty familiar experience for those of you. I can build my report on that data set. What I'm going to show you is this magic where I can now go ahead and open my local data set, and I've opened a finance data set, and I can just very easily drag and drop and create relationships between these two different data sets. Now this, guys, was not possible before, but we've now made it easy to create what is this composite model or this composite data set. I create these relationships, and what I'm going to show you next is how easy it is now to include that within my report. And so I'm going to create a quick measure here because I want to do some calculation on margins, and margins taking data from these two different data sets. And I'm going to create that measure, and I'm going to add it to my report. And here you go. I have this report that's just combined data from two completely different data sets, an enterprise one and my own local one. Pretty powerful feature. Super excited to bring it to you really soon. Next, I'm going to talk about enterprise reporting. Now, some of you might be very familiar with SQL Server reporting services, and we've had that capability on-prem for a very, very long time. A couple of years ago, we took that capability and we brought it into Power BI as Power BI paginated reports. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. Power BI paginated reports helps you author, embed, and distribute these pixel perfect paginated reports in multiple formats: PDF, PPT, PowerPoint, and with role level security applied. So I just don't want to just blast out a report to my entire organization. Say I'm a sales organization. I only want my account managers to see the accounts or the reports with the data where they're the account managers for. So I need to have role level security applied. And on top of that, we have subscription-based bursting as well. We can also send these out as email attachments, and we will very soon have available to you email attachment support, not only for paginated reports, but also for your regular Power BI reports. So super excited about this. And what's even more cool is we've taken these analysis services capabilities and these RS capabilities, and while we brought it to Power BI, we've recently just made available over the last month to you SSAS and SSRS VMs. So we support versions with RS. We support versions 2016 through 19. With analysis services, we support version 2019, but we will be adding some of the other versions soon as well. You can procure them directly from the Azure Marketplace. Very simple to do that, and you can deploy these VMs using your Azure hybrid benefit. Now that is what I'm super excited about. So you use your familiarity with your on-prem deployment, and you can then use the tools to migrate over to Power BI analysis services or paginated reports and bring your data sets and your reports into Power BI as well. Next, I'm going to talk about our next generation analytics with Power BI Premium. Now, a lot of the capabilities that I've talked about here are available via Power BI Premium. For those of you that are familiar with Power BI Premium specifically, it's a capacity-based model. It's been in existence for a while, so you purchase capacity in terms of cores, or vCores as we call them, and you start off at 8 cores and it costs you about $5,000 per month. And you get the performance exactly based on that capacity that you purchase. Now, this is absolutely great for some of the scenarios. Now, what I'm going to talk about is where we've actually evolved from there and next generation Power BI Premium. So let's talk about next generation analytics with Power BI Premium. I'm super excited that last month we were able to announce our Power BI Premium Gen 2 into public preview. So let's talk about what's different here with Gen 2. So in Gen 2, we now have the flexibility for you to license not just by capacity, purchasing those cores, but also by user. And this is by individual user. So while these premium capabilities that I've talked about, several of these that I've talked about throughout today's session, these capabilities of processing large models, more refreshes, using paginated reports, using some of those AI capabilities like cognitive services, these are all going to be available to you to license by user. And right now, it's all available in public preview for you to try out. Now, what else is really cool about Gen 2 is that we're able to give you a 16x performance boost from the previous generation. And what we're going to bring to you pretty soon in the next few weeks into this public preview and add on into this public preview is the ability for you to scale capacity as and when you need with a new feature called Autoscale. So Autoscale will be available only in Premium Gen 2, and this feature really helps you scale when your usage spikes. So think about the scenarios that you have where you have a Monday morning spike or you have an unplanned number of users, maybe based on holiday season analytics, end of fiscal, end of year, end of quarter, and you have some sort of unplanned usage, unplanned spike. What we give you is the ability to now burst and add a single core at a time. So we will actually add these on automatically for you. Autoscale is a feature that you need to opt into. So once you opt into it, we will then add on this core, one core at a time, based on when we see that you're reaching your limits, your capacity limits, your purchase capacity limits. And what we do is in a 24-hour period, if that usage, that additional core is idle and not being used, then we automatically remove it for you. So we automatically scale up and down, and you don't have to worry about it at all. And this is done at a single core increment and for that 24-hour period. And the best thing of all is that you will be able to bring your Azure subscription and charge this burst over to your Azure subscription. And then now the last thing I want to talk about with Gen 2 is that Power BI Premium Gen 2, we've actually reimagined metrics, and you will be able to get very consistent and reliable cost management. You'll be able to get utilization, not just at the capacity level. Now, those of you using Premium right now will be able to get not just that capacity level, but the breakdown down to individual workspace, what is the utilization in the CPU seconds or milliseconds down at the workspace level, the report level, the individual user level. So this just makes it super easy for you to charge back to other departments. And that utilization analytics and the new metrics are also going to be added into this public preview in the next few weeks. So if you haven't turned this on yet already, I would strongly ask you to go do it now. And this is how quickly it is to do it. If you just saw what I did here, I went ahead and enabled this. And as soon as I clicked it, that was not even 10 seconds, 15 seconds, you were instantly moved on to Premium Gen 2. And this is with like zero downtime. There is no impact to any of your users, and all you get is all of those benefits that I just talked about. So I strongly ask you to go try this out today if you haven't already done that. We've been working with a lot of customers in this journey over the last several months in private preview, and we've actually had customers that are super happy and telling us that performance is awesome and they have happy users, and like customers like Centrica Energy who've already seen so much value out of our new generation of Power BI Premium. Lastly, let's talk about Premium per user. As I mentioned, this is also in public preview now, and we're rolling it out throughout the month of December through the month of November and into early December. Now, if you want priority access, you can just go ahead, click on this link, aka.ms/PPU preview, and you should be able to submit your request for priority access and be able to get access within 24 to 48 hours if you haven't already gotten access. As I mentioned, we're rolling it out globally to everybody over the next several weeks, and so you will be able to get it anyway. But if you have a sense of urgency and you want it now and you don't have access to it, then just let us know, submit this request, and we will get right back to you within 24 to 48 hours. What I do want to point out is that it's super easy. Go into your workspace settings. You should be able to turn on your premium capacity. And as you see in the dropdown, in my dropdown, I have premium per user available to me as an option. That's what you should see when you go into premium per user. Now, the best thing of all about premium per user is that right now, for the entire duration of public preview, we are giving everybody free trials, so premium per user free trials, and you should be able to go ahead and use it at no cost to you. It's free to you. So go ahead and sign up, or go ahead and start trying out all of those premium features like paginated reports and AI in Power BI. Now, last, I want to wrap this up and say, let's talk about, what you can do here to learn more about Power BI. So my call to action here is, if you go online to our Power BI documentation, a lot of the capabilities that I've talked about are available. The documentation is available. Now, some of the things that are coming in the upcoming few weeks are not available there yet, but they will be. For example, composite models or the performance accelerator, but that will be available when those come out to you as well. So whether you're Power BI veteran and have used Power BI for a while, or you're new to Power BI, we've got documentation to get you started. And so I strongly encourage you to go ahead and do that. And with that, I really want to thank you for the opportunity to come and tell you all about the capabilities in Power BI with Azure that help you build these systems of insights and help you and your organization get insights out of data and scale to those enterprise needs that I talked about. I'm really looking forward to our Q&A portion next, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you live there. So thank you again very, very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you at the Q&A portion.